Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Thursday to you. We're going to take a quick look at Bitcoin, of course. Trying to make this fairly brief because we're just going to take a look at some back-end data here, kind of reiterate some things from yesterday, CME gaps, and a few other small things there as well. So if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, love to teach people to trade. I hope you can learn something here today. Quick heads up, we do have a BINGX giveaway still here. We've got a few slots left, so make sure you take advantage of that. It is basically a pivot from Bybit to BINGX, and the main reason why is because they allow for you to use their exchange with no KYC or VPN required in these typically restricted countries, as well as the fact that there's no trading volume or deposit required for a $100 trading bonus. Awesome stuff. Be sure to check that out. Congrats to our current community members who are benefiting from that and enjoying that new exchange. We really do like it, though. It's fantastic. Thanks again, BINGX, for bringing that to our community. So what we want to jump into here is some high block capital data, kind of go from there. The stark reality here is the fact that we're kind of just drawing dead for liquidations, not a whole heck of a lot. Generally speaking, obviously longs are getting liquidated, but it's not catastrophic. We can also see that whales are up to no good here. We see the second most amount of volume here based on from whales here in the last month and a half, almost 2 months. So that tells us that the price is hitting a low, because anytime the price spikes up, or at least the whale volume spikes up, the price is soon to recover after that. Okay? So just keep trying to push the price down, and they're having difficulty doing that because a lot of retail traders are saying, no, this is a good price point. So that's a positive sign here. We can also see there's a lot more longs open than shorts at this point, which is good. Well, technically, no. Sorry, there's an equal amount of shorts open as well. It's just that there's not a lot of long positions being closed. Okay, so we have more long positions open than yesterday. For lack of better terms, it's a positive sign here to the upside. We can also see here as well with open interest. Let's go ahead and take a quick look, where everything is fairly well hedged. So in other words, longs are, we got some early longs here, right, in the range of about 26,800. So they're in the green. And as far as shorts are concerned, we can see they're kind of underwater right now. So a lot of them are down at 26.7, 26.8. So they are essentially feeling the pressure there. So we could see a short squeeze. Not saying it's going to just shoot up because of that, but shorts are underwater for the moment. There's a lot more longs positions open, so that's a good sign, right? So let's take a look at the daily here. Oh, actually, wait, before we do that, just jumping into some CME futures here. Just to quickly note, we had some CME gaps here filled. The most recent one from 27 to about 28,000, that was filled, of course, so this could be a good bouncing point. A lot of times when you see the price action get filled, it'll turn itself around from there. We also have an open CME gap here up here, closer to 29 to 29.6. Okay, so that's one that still needs to get filled. We're a little ways from that, but that is a potential reality here if the price continues upwards. Last but not least, go ahead and take a quick look at Bitcoin dominance. It is coming down here, and in turn, altcoins are increasing. So we can see coins like Litecoin, Sandbox, Render, a few other ones that are kind of recovering here today nicely. Contrary to Bitcoin kind of being stuck on this downward trend. Okay, so let's take a look at Bitcoin and kind of see what that means. Now, quickly note, just so you know, our monthly candlestick closure did close above the most recent low. Okay, so last month's low, we closed above that. That's a very positive sign. So even though we are technically opening up this month red, we can see here that the monthly close at about 27.2 is pretty much where we're at there, but the previous month was right there at about 26.9. Okay? So that's another reason why we feel like there's going to be a decent amount of support at this range, and that a long position may be better at this point than a short. Again, different scenarios, different strategies, but that's just something to think about and kind of understand here, right? So when it comes to Bitcoin here, what we want to look at on the daily is a couple of things. So we're going to look at the RSI, of course. We know that this has been under 50 for a little while. Okay, so a couple of days now. The money flow index is increasing though, so this is a positive sign that usually implies that we're going to see a potential turnaround, as the MFI will typically come up first and then the RSI follows. Okay, so that's a positive sign there. We can see that we are still diverging here on the MACD, but it hasn't officially diverged yet. So that's kind of just, it's indifferent. It's not really a good or bad sign. So in all reality, we don't have any fantastic news here on the daily by any stretch, but it's not terrible either, all right? So we're about, we got a nice little reset here on TD sequential, and then if we take a look at, just say our moving averages, once again, just to kind of reiterate this here, we are testing that 50-day SMA right now, okay? So if we can close above that today, it'd be fantastic, or even just say we close below and we retest that and close again soon above that, that'd be a good sign. But the bottom line here is that our volume, we see the most amount of volume in the last, just say, 1 month's worth of trading in this range where we're at right now. So that's typically a good sign. If we do lose this current price point, I just say about 27,000, there's potential for further downside. Okay, so just something to kind of think about there on the daily, but generally speaking, again, fairly neutral to bearish on the daily. Okay, with the 4 hour here, this is where things get kind of interesting. We can see that it's having more difficulty, even though it is creating still lower lows here, it's having more difficulty going lower. Okay, so in that sense, that's a positive. Let's go ahead and move our Fibonacci retracement levels down a little bit here. And then what we want to do is take a quick look at, first of all, the moving averages. We're still below all three, right? So that's never a great sign. But when we look at the divergence here that we're seeing, it was diverging pretty heavy yesterday. That's starting to subside. So that's a positive sign there. We can also see the RSI is kind of plateauing somewhere in the 30 to 40 range. Okay, so in its history, Bitcoin, when it comes down, it will typically hit 30 on the RSI and bounce. So we haven't hit that level yet. So in that sense, we don't necessarily have to, expect that to happen. But if it were to, that would be a bouncing point. Okay. So what I'm just getting at here is the fact that we do still have more room for downside here. I wouldn't say the bottom is in, but I also feel like based on volume, we might be seeing a shift in momentum here. I would say it's going to be important to close above 27,000 today. As we did yesterday, we did close in that range, specifically more so for the monthly. And that's a positive sign in the big picture. Now, again, you're always going to have these manipulation moments. We saw the Asian markets opened and they had a pretty swift downtrend. Okay, that's a very common thing. They're always going to take profits when the market opens, and then of course pump it up right before it closes. So different things happen, but here at this point, 4 hour time frame tells me that we are fairly neutral as well. We don't have any significantly bullish or bearish signs, and I think that at this point, the fact that we're having lower lows and lower highs, we got to expect the price to continue lower until it doesn't. But the 1 hour will tell us here if there's a shift in momentum coming. I'm interested in the cloud here to see. This is kind of a starting point. Now, keep in mind, we're not above the cloud by any stretch, right? It'll be a little while before the cloud comes down to this current level or the price comes up above it, right? We got to have a pretty significant push above 27.3 to get above the cloud. But what I'm getting at here is we have some proof here in the fact that this conversion line is barely below the baseline. That's telling us we're losing momentum. The lagging span is just now hitting the price action, and that's a typical sign to close your short position. Okay? So again, I'm not saying that you have to close the entire thing. Typically, trimming your position would be adequate. Taking 60 to 80% profit, letting the rest ride, see what happens. Move your stop loss down to break even. Those are things that you want to try to do in situations like these. Okay? So again, this is just kind of telling us that, hey, there's a decent chance that we could see the price turn itself around. If we take a look at the volume in the last, just say 24 hours, we are currently holding above that volume profile. So that's a good sign too in a lot of ways, because oftentimes when you can close above that, the price action will continue a little bit higher. Now, you could argue that that's not true, but because of the way the Asian market opened. But once again, there's different things happen all the time, and unfortunately, you can just see Asian markets are doing a lot of profit taking here. They're manipulating the market, for lack of better terms, where other time frames are not really doing that. So just, I would say, be prepared for that later today if we end up moving upwards. Keep in mind that we can still move up when the Asian markets are open, but lately they've been taking a lot of profit. All right, so that's kind of where we're at there. The last thing we want to kind of summarize here with is TD sequential and kind of just see, there's not a lot of overextension in any direction anymore. We have hit our tentative bottom. We came down to an 8, down to another 6. So for the most part, it would make more sense for the price to continue to increase from here. But once again, we got to assume it's going to go lower before it goes higher, right? So this little descending type of trend that we're seeing here, this guy here, we want to pay attention to this and kind of see what happens, okay? Because it is continuing to push itself down. We need to break above that at one point, and establishing a higher low is going to be the first step. And we're not quite there yet until we can see what happens here. We're not out of the woods yet, okay? So I'm not telling you to take a long position here. I am telling you, though, however, that our long position we took as a community, I feel comfortable with that, based on the simple fact that we had a good monthly closure and that there's some more macro stuff that's beneficial at this point. Keep in mind, the 4 hour and the 1 hour, the 4 hour and the 1 day, they're not extremely favorable right now, all right? But the 1 hour does look like it wants to turn itself around. If we can close today at, just say again, 27,000 or higher, we should be in pretty decent shape to see this continue upwards. That's what I'm looking for, is a closure above 27, preferably 27.3, but beggars can't be choosers, right? All right, so that's kind of all we have here so far today. Again, make sure you take advantage of our BINGX giveaway. There's only a few slots left available, and obviously make sure that you are trading safely and comfortably. You want to become a better trader? CryptoCash.tech is a site, link down below. I do look forward to work with you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.